Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to What's Your Take? My name is Dayo Akintobi, and I will be taking you through the major stories that made the headlines yesterday and today. Joining me to bring you those stories today is, of course, our newscaster, Yetunde Afolabi. Yetunde, good morning, and how are you today?
Morning, Dayo. I'm very well this morning, thank you. How are you doing?
That's wonderful. Are you a football fan by any chance? Did you watch the Champions League last night that caused so much excitement between Manchester United and Real Madrid?
No, I'm not, but I heard some stories.
I'm sure you also heard a lot of shouts and yells and whoops each time the goals were scored.
Yes, I did, from my neighborhood.
All right, interesting. Let's talk quickly about Tiwa Savage again. Tiwa Savage is still in the news. I think we talked about her on Monday when we were here last, about her rendition at King Charles's coronation. Now, there's a big furor on social media about the particular song she chose to sing. Yeah, today, I mean, of course, you're a youth by every definition of the term, and so I'm sure you are very active on social media. What is causing a furor about the song she chose? And what's Beyonce's connection with all this?
Well, the song she chose was one of Beyonce's songs from an album I can't recall right now. The song was meant to talk about Black independence, and she chose to sing it at a coronation filled with white people. Secondly, they complained that she didn't have any rated song to sing of her own, so she had to pick someone else's song, which is Beyonce's song. She got a bit of slander for that.
But in your opinion, did she acquit herself admirably? I mean, did she have a good outing? I didn't watch that part of the coronation, but how did you see her performance? Did she make Nigeria proud?
Well, I think she did. I think she did a really good job. She carried us well, but the only thing I would say is it would have been nicer if she had her own song, an appropriate song for her to sing, rather than using someone else's song.
I see. All right. So maybe there's a bit of political activism or advocacy involved in even entertainment at a global event like that. All right. Let's get into the meat of the matter today. Having dispatched with all these lighter items, let's delve into the substance of today's program. For that, Yetunde, why don't you go ahead and give us the headlines that we're going to be looking at today?
Thank you, Dayo. Hello and welcome to the news updates on What's Your Take? First, the headlines. 1. Supreme Court declares Ademola Adeleke winner of Osun2022 governorship election. 2. Bandits abduct 40 worshippers from church in Kaduna. 15 escape. 3. Opposition parties reject APC zoning of NASS positions. And 4. At commencement of proceedings at the Presidential Election Tribunal on Tuesday, court warns parties, lawyers, to desist from technicalities and delays. Now, the details. The Supreme Court has declared Ademola Adeleke of the PDP winner of Osun2022 governorship election. The Apex Court said Oyetola and the APC failed to prove their case of improper accreditation of voters and overvoting against Adeleke. It therefore upheld the ruling of the appeal court, which overturned the election tribunal judgment that Oyetola won. No fewer than 40 worshippers at Begay Baptist Church, Madala, Kaduna, were abducted during church service on Sunday. Kaduna State Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Chairman Reverend John Joseph Hayab, who confirmed their adoption, said the worshippers were in the Sunday service in the church when around 9:30 a.m., all of a sudden, they started hearing sporadic gunshots very close to the church. He added that the gunmen attacked the church and went away with 40 worshippers. But he thanked God that when they were going, somehow 15 of the kidnapped persons escaped. 25 of the worshippers are still in captivity without any word from their abductors up until this time. After weeks of speculation, the National Working Committee, NWC, of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, has zoned the Senate presidency of the forthcoming 10th National Assembly to the South-South and the speakership of the House of Representatives to the Northwest. The party also zoned the Deputy Senate presidency to the Northwest and Deputy Speakership to the Southeast. The move elicited immediate response from stakeholders of the APC and some senators-elect from opposition parties who rejected what they described as imposition of candidates and insisted on producing their own leaders. The Presidential Election Tribunal started sitting on Tuesday in Abuja. The courts warned the political parties and the lawyers to desist from technicalities and unnecessary delays. In his opening remarks, the presiding judge of the tribunal, Justice Samani, urged lawyers representing all the petitioners to avoid sensational comments, stressing that the courts would not tolerate time-wasting tactics and technicalities. He asked all concerned parties to avoid unnecessary time-wasting applications and objections so that the tribunal can look at the substance of the cases rather than unnecessary technicalities. He went on to request the cooperation of everyone so that all interested parties will be satisfied that justice has been done. And those are the headline news stories we have and we'll be looking at today. Over to you, Dayo.
Thank you. Today we will take a short break now, and when we return, we will be joined in the studio by a guest who will discuss today's major stories with me. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. All right. Joining me to take a look at the big stories for today is Mrs. Aderisola Adepoju. I like that. 3 A's. AAA. Aderisola Adepoju. Fantastic. That's lovely alliteration.
Yeah.
Which is rhyming from the front.
Yeah.
All right. Aderisola is an educator. She actually has a PhD in chemistry. When she told me that, I had pain in my teeth, because I remember how chemistry used to do me in school. That's why I opted for English, and that's why I'm a journalist and talking to you on this program today, because I ran away from chemistry, physics, and biology. So to see somebody who's actually gone all the way to a PhD in chemistry, wow. Aderisola, you've done well. Mrs. Adepoju is an advocate for youth and women empowerment through skills acquisition as a means of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as SDGs. Welcome to What's Your Take, Daring?
Good morning, Dayo.
Can I call you Daring?
Please, go ahead. Most of my friends call me Daring, so
okay.
That's fine.
Lovely. So what motivated you to study chemistry and why all the way to PhD? Was it easy for you?
Easy and chemistry don't go hand in hand.
No, they don't.
But I think I'm a kind of person, I'm able to relate with what I can see. So when I decided to actually get another degree, I did it in environmental chemistry. And that was when we had this issue of lead poisoning in Zamfara State. Okay. So my project was centered around artisanal lead mining, artisanal gold mining regions in Zamfara, and where we had lead poisoning killing children then. So for me, it was about impact. That is why you always find me doing impact-oriented things. So I just felt like, if I could do this project, find out what is the heavy metal causing the poisoning of children and things like that, my research could make a difference. So I just went on to do environmental chemistry at my master's level. And after that, it was more like, I found what was wrong with that. So my PhD had to be like, I had to design a sensor that would now use to monitor the environment.
Wow.
So it was just logical for me. Okay, let's do development of biosensors that could monitor heavy metal. So I guess it was just about how it could change people's lives.
Amazing, amazing Nigerian women making giant strides in the world of science. That just swells my heart anytime I see something like that. A great achiever in the field of sciences, a Nigerian and a female one at that. All right, Darren, let's get into some of the stories today so you can give us some of your profound wisdom on what are the things that are going on around us. All right, let's look at the first one we have here. Governor Adeleke has been reaffirmed as the winner of the governorship elections in Osun State after several months in the courts. According to the Apex Court, the APC failed to prove that overvoting occurred during the elections. They hinged their judgment largely on data provided by the BVAS. I remember that they have been saying this BVAS is going to be a game changer in the elections, and now here we are at the court where the BVAS is what is helping justice to be done. So that BVAS seems to have become the Bible of assuring credible elections. It seems to make rigging impossible, or at least impossible to get away with. Darren, what do you think about the ruling in Osun? Do you think justice was done? And do you think the ruling, this is the bigger question, do you think the ruling could possibly have an impact or affect some of the petitions at the Presidential Tribunal that's ongoing now? Because a lot of those petitions are hinged on issues of overvoting and BVAS. So now that there's a precedent that has been set by the Supreme Court, does it not become harder for the Labour Party's Peter Obi and the Atiku of PDP to prove their case that there was overvoting and there was rigging, which is what their petitions are hinged upon?
First, starting from Adeleke, I have a bias because I'm from Ede, and it's of course.
Oh yes, of course, he's from Ede.
Do you understand? So I have a bias to us. But beyond the bias for Adeleke, one thing that stood out for me when I heard about the ruling yesterday was the fact that when I saw videos coming out from Osun State of civil servants, the way they were just basically joyous about the mood, the win of Adeleke. And I decided to think to myself, like, when last did we have a politician win something and people are this overjoyed? It doesn't happen very often. So one of the things I thought about that was the fact that, number one, it's a win for Osun and a win for the people of Osun State. That's the first thing I thought about, as in it's a win-win situation. Now, about the ruling itself, I thought about it, like, let's even assume Oyetola won. There was no way Oyetola would have had a successful tenure because the House was like, they are 26. Like, how do you rule in a state where you have just one? Like one House member.
One assembly
do you understand?
member.
One assembly member. It wouldn't work. And 25, so it wouldn't work. Let's even assume he won. Then thirdly, in the ruling, when I looked at, okay, the numbers that they signed at the polls and the number, like, it's correlated. So how somebody was saying overvoting, like, the case in the first place, I didn't think it shouldn't have even gone to court. How could you present something like that? But hey, this is Nigeria. And when the case went to court and BVAS was admissible in courts, because I remember in 2015, that was not the case, as in the other machine was card reader wasn't admissible in court. So the fact that they've admitted this BVAS as evidence in court, like you said, is a game changer. Because if you cannot prove, as in, we know what they define overvoting as these days, like number of people, as in not what they used to define overvoting as. Now it is, did you register at the to vote? If you register to vote, they got you accredited. That is the only thing you can define overvoting as, not necessarily like how many people that were registered in the polling unit. So the fact that you can use that BVAS to say there is no overvoting, I feel like if they start this tribunal for the the presidency, as I'm waiting to see what's going to come out. But the truth is, if already the INEC has said there was no overvoting and the BVAS said there was no overvoting, it means that they are going to take the same BVAS this time around to do the same judgment. So I don't want to preempt the courts, but it is what it is. The Beavers is saying there was no overvoting. And if that is all this tribunal is, or will I say the petitioners are basing this thing on, that there was overvoting. So if they can prove, if the APC now can prove that there was no overvoting, then it's almost like the oppositions have no case.
Wow.
So that's just what I'm thinking, based on at least what came out of Adeleke's point.
Yeah, okay, nice one. Well, I agree with you when you say you saw the outburst of jubilation.
Joy.
And what struck me in the same way it struck you is the fact that how can APC have even thought that it is well liked enough to have won the election when you see so many people jubilating that PDP won? So you can tell it's a PDP state. Like you said, even at the assembly, 24 out of 25 seats went to the PDP. So how could APC even begin to think that it could win in Osun State? I think that there should be some rules that stop people from filing frivolous petitions that have no legs to stand on. I think they should be sanctioned. When they lose like this loss, they should be made to pay major costs.
Yeah, they are wasting the resources.
To discourage us. Wasting resources, wasting time of the court. Let's move to our next story, because we don't want to run out of time before we cover all the stories. All right, moving on to the next big one. Gunmen abducted 40 worshippers, 40, from a church in Kaduna on Sunday. What's insecurity? I mean, just before the elections, we didn't hear any of this anymore. And we thought, oh, wow, the country is at peace. Now, all of a sudden, it's coming out of nowhere again. 40 in a church. Now, for it to have been a church doesn't mean that certain faiths were targeted. Why during service? Why Christian? Why what? Now, luckily, 15 of them managed to escape, but the others remain in captivity. What I'm interested in asking is, as President Buhari's tenure winds down, he's been giving an accounting of his achievements. And one of his claims is that he has fought insecurity to a point where it has diminished from when he came in 2015. He says he has boosted the military with spending. Remember the Super Tucano jets. He did training for the military. He improved their terms and conditions of service, more salaries. He did all kinds of things. So he's saying that all those things boosted the fight against terrorism and have helped to reduce this incidence of all kinds of banditry. Although the thing changes name. In some cases it's bandits, in some cases it's kidnappers, in some cases it's terrorists, in some cases unknown gunmen. So it could possibly be the same people who are just wearing different garments for different operations. Who knows? But anyway, my question is, I want you to grade the president based in light of what happened in Kaduna on Sunday. 40 people kidnapped. What does that say about his performance on insecurity? And while you're at that, since he came in on a 3-pronged pillar, insecurity, corruption, and the economy. Those were the 3 things he campaigned on in 2015. So now that he's going out, let us give him a grade. Start with insecurity, looking at what happened in Kaduna on Sunday. How has the president performed on insecurity in the last 8 years? How has he done on the economy? Are we better off today than we were in 2015 when he came into office?
Okay, let's start from the insecurity. You know, when he came into office, I remember clearly that this particular insecurity was limited. And this is not to say that a particular set of people should be the one that are kidnapped, but I remember clearly that this insecurity was limited to the north, and not just even the north, like let me say a particular section of the north. Yes. The upper north, like Borno and Co. Now, it's more like what we used to hear then was just Boko Haram. Now, they've, like you said, they've changed names. Like we have unknown gunmen, bandits, you know, they now have different names. And it's more like it has turned to a joke. When the president came in, it was more like the people that they used to maybe like kidnap. It was always a group, you know, very organized. Now, it's like the kidnapping has become a joke. It has become so much of a joke that is like you could just be going to Ibadan on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and you will hear that, okay, you were kidnapped, taken into the forest. As when he came in, I didn't have fear of going to my state in Ede to say, okay, I'm just going home.
From
now,
Lagos?
From Lagos.
On the Ibadan Expressway, you felt safe?
I felt safe. But right now, when you're traveling, the first thing you're thinking about is, okay, how about if they abduct us on the road? Between Lagos and Osun State, this is 3 hours. I'm not going to the north. So it has become like, I say this thing like, when things happen so often, it has become a reality. Like you just take it like, okay, the next, when they kidnap you, they would donate money on Facebook on this thing. And, you know, it has become a joke. That's just, so it's more like they think that it has reduced, but it didn't actually reduce. It's just that is now widespread, and no area of the country is safe again.
Okay,
and
unlike it was concentrated in one area, now it's widespread.
It's widespread.
So you are giving the president an F on security. Okay, can you give me a D?
Maybe E or something. Like it's nobody is safe any longer. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be of. You are no longer safe.
Yeah.
Now let's look at it in terms of will I say corruption?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, like I remember clearly. I think I was the first time Buhari was going to come in. I was maybe 9 months, like 7 months pregnant, and I was really, like, oh, let's go and vote, because why? My parents had told me, oh, during Buhari, then
it's first coming.
Exactly, we had stories, and I was believing my parents that this man is what they say he is, and is going to combat corruption. Most of us voted based on the fact that he was going to combat corruption. That was our major problem then. And then I remember even before he came in, people started, like, let me hide my stuff, just based on his name. Then he came in, it was more like people are just waiting, like, okay, let's see how he's going to progress or how he's going to proceed. And it just became like, oh, he's not even going to, it became like, okay, eat and let us eat. And it just, from there, it just went like the corruption just, for me right now, I think even if God sends a Messiah to us, it is going to be hard for them to remove corruption.
It's in our DNA.
It's like it has become so ingrained in our. So like the corruption just kept increasing, and I don't know. I honestly don't know how we are going to do it. Whoever it is that even comes into the government that is going to succeed him, I don't know how that person is going to do it. But
so another F for the president again.
Corruption, no, it didn't tackle corruption. I don't think it did not tackle corruption. So
economy. We're running out of time. So tell me, are you better off today than you were in 2050 economically? Do you have more money in your pocket? Is your job more secure? Are you living comfortably?
Of course, I've grown as a person.
Yes.
So I can't use myself as a benchmark. Okay, PhD, I've had more earning power. But when I look at the people that I get to probably give, I don't think they are better off. Like, I'm hustling. I do 2 jobs, 3. Like you're hustling multiple jobs, but it's not like you're not. It's not like you're not like really richer. Yeah. You're just trying to maintain your standard of living, despite working multiple jobs.
Wow. Okay. So can you give me at least a C on the economy?
Yeah, or
a B plus?
Maybe no, maybe a C.
C. All right. We're fast running out of time. Let's take our last story for today. All right, Darren. The ruling APC has zoned the Senate presidency of the forthcoming 10th National Assembly to the South, and the speakership of the House of Representatives to the Northwest. The party also zoned the Deputy Senate presidency to the Northwest and the Deputy Speakership to the Southeast. Apart from the objections raised by senators-elect and reps-elect of both the APC and other parties that they will choose their own leaders and will not accept imposition from the party or the president-elect, observers are wondering how fair is it that the Senate presidency was not zoned to the Southeast. What are your thoughts about this? Is this fair? Remember, there was a clamor for even the presidency to be zoned to the Southeast because of all the regions, the Southeast has not tasted power since we came back to democracy. In fact, even as far back as 1979, in Shagari's time, they were the best the Southeast got then was the vice presidency. So they seem to have been shut out of the leadership positions in the last 20, 30 years. Now, they didn't get the presidency. They didn't get the vice presidency. Now, the number 3 position is the Senate president. Shouldn't they at least have got that? And some people from the Southeast threw their hat in for the contest. Ojius Okalu, who is a ranking senator, wanted to contest for this thing and is still in the runnings. But APC is now zoning to the South. Remember, President Goodluck Jonathan was from the South. So South has had a taste of power recently. Southeast hasn't. And we can't even give them number 3 position. And we're relegating them to number 7, which is deputy speaker. Is that fair in terms of equity, justice, and fairness in a diverse nation such as ours? Should any section of the country be shut out? And should any section of the country be preponderantly favored in terms of appointments, being chosen as a contestant, in terms of projects, in terms of contracts? Is it fair? And does it keep a country together?
To I've always been that person that I am open or believing that Nigeria will come to a point that we are not even using the zoning system, because I feel like the moment you start to zone this, zone that, so it is, in my opinion, like where do we place merits to start with? Like, I believe we should come to a point that we're able to say these are the individuals that are contesting for this position.
But are we there yet? Do you think we can do that now?
We can't do that now. So whenever, okay, it was like they zoned presidency, they zoned vice presidency, they zoned this. And I'm like, okay, now we've come to the Senate level. Can we just let these people choose their own leaders?
Yes.
Like, but of course, we know it is not going to happen. So they are going back to zoning.
Yes.
So if they now have to zone, I believe that what is happening is more like a reward system, where it's the people that support me when I'm contesting that I'm going to
reward. So
it is a reward system. I believe as it is right now, our political appointments are a reward system. Like, you help me, I help you. So it is that is what I see.
And of
so
course, the Southeast didn't deliver votes to the president-elect, so why should he reward them?
Why should he reward them? So it has, and I think that even all politicians, it is, they play their game in such a way that they're trying to calculate, like, okay, if I support this person, I'm able to get this person. So Nigeria has not come to that point that whether you support me or you don't support me, I'm going to give what is rightfully yours,
your due,
to you. So yes. And it's dicey, because sometimes you are thinking, okay, maybe if the South is to support this category of people, but they are of course not ready to support. So I'm not sure how we are going to go about this, because if you ask me personally, I don't even think all this zoning at that level is right, because it should be about merit. Let's assume we are zoning presidency and vice presidency. When it comes to other, I don't believe
let merit and competence
prevail. But
right.
It is what it is.
All right, thank you so much, Derry. This has been an engaging time. We've looked at some of the issues that are making the headlines in Nigeria today, particularly in the political arena. We appreciate Derry coming to talk to us and talk to you, Nigeria, and she's given some insight into how things are looking on the political front. And that is where we must rest it today, as we have run out of time. Aderisola Adepoju, AAA, triple A. Can I call you triple A?
Yeah, that's the funny thing.
A-cube is like A-cube, all right. Alliterating from the front. I like that. All right, Aderisola Adepoju, thank you for coming on the show today. It has been a really engaging time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Nigeria, for being a pleasure. Our pleasure. Thank you, our honor as well. Thank you, Nigeria, for being a part of today's program. Join us again next time as we bring you trenchant analysis of the breaking news that make the headlines today and every day. I am Dayo Akintobi. Many thanks for watching. Have a great day.